we have an opportunity every time we gather to give something to God of what God has given to us. And I want to just take a moment to talk a little bit about the finances of the church because some of you may know a fair amount about it. Some of you are on the council or on the finance committee. Others really may not know much about what's going on with the finances of the church. And I want to share a little bit about that because we're in a situation that is rather difficult financially this year, and that has to do with a couple of things. We anticipated about $100,000 in pledge giving. That's what we put in our budget, and it's as of the end of the third quarter, we've brought in about half of that. And so that's 50 out of 100. So that's a significant difference. We anticipate at least another 20,000 that is going to be coming in from people who've said, yes, I will, fulfill my pledge for this year. But that still leaves us about $30,000 short in that regard. We also planned, at least had the idea and hope of doing at least one or two significant fundraisers this year. We didn't have the bandwidth to do them, just in terms of the people, everybody's schedules and what people were able to take on. We weren't able to do that. And so we had put in the budget, anticipated $20,000 for that. And we don't have that money because we're not going to be able to do that this year. It's conceivable we could do that next year, but not this year. And then we also had anticipated another contract for use of the space here that we thought was going to bring in at least another $20,000. That also has not materialized. So we're talking about $70,000 that we don't have, that we expected to have, that we hope to have, and that we don't have. And so that, as you can imagine, puts us in a significant financial crunch. We have made some changes. We have reduced some of our staff hours. There's not a lot more that we can easily do. Our utility bills are about $35,000 a year. We need utilities. We can't just not have lights or heat or whatever we need. So that's one thing. Our insurance for the church, just to insure the building and make sure that if there's, God forbid, a fire or anything else that we can, that we're going to be okay, is about $20,000 a year. We can't get rid of that. The only place that we can viably cut as we look, especially for this year and as we look toward next year, is staffing. We are a relatively small church. There are churches our size that have a part-time pastor, and that is viable. That's something that we could conceivably do. I think it would be hard to do what we want to do as a church. What I feel really excited about what God is doing here. And after being here for 7 years, I would say at this year that we are at what I call fertile ground zero. Fertile ground zero. We were 7 years ago, there was some cold, hard ground. and it was, no one's fault except the devil, basically, but the church really was not a welcoming place. We didn't have a way of serving our community. The main way that the church did any outreach in the community was the rummage sale, which happened a couple of times a year. And it has been a process. This year, part of our Fertile Ground Zero is that we have a wonderful ministry that our village and beyond feel the blessing of. And I think if you ever meet anybody who hears about the church and knows you're part of it, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I love the Village Hub. Like, I love your coffee. I love coming there. I feel so peaceful. People tell me all the time, they'll come up to me and they'll just say, I'm not religious, but I just love the feeling here. I'm like, all right, that's God, by the way. But but it's wonderful. Whether people know God or not, they can come and they can feel that peace. They can feel that welcome. They can feel that love. And this is what we have created as a ministry in our village. We also, you as a church, have called the first settled pastor in over 6 decades. That is really significant. That evidences just a level of trust and koinonia, fellowship, partnership among the congregation and the pastor that hasn't happened for many years. That there's been a lot of wrestling for decades around that. And I remember that when I first got here, there was some conflict that came up, and I asked one of the ladies who was on the council at that time, I said, well, you know what, I think this could be a great opportunity for us to learn to work through conflict. And, there's always going to be conflicts in a church. It's normal. Whenever there's human beings involved, conflict arises, right? It's going to happen. And so I said, let's do this in a prayerful, thoughtful, loving way. And she said, oh, we know how to solve conflict at this church. I said, oh, really? How do you do that? She said, we fire the pastor. She was not even joking. I was like, wow, okay. There you got it solved. So this church has come through to a different place, a really different place. This is why I say we are at fertile ground zero. We have an amazing team. We have wonderful music ministers, Carter and Tammy. We have an incredible sound man who we never give it up for. Can we just do that right now? Woo! Rob. And just Rob's dedication and thoughtfulness and willingness to figure things out as needed, and just handling business so beautifully so that all of us who are online and those of us who are here can enjoy the service. I mean, we have incredible folks on this team. Sergio, who mans our video, does a great job. Woohoo! And so we've got wonderful resources. Right now, Christina is in there with our Cubs. And between Christina and Alma, I mean, we've got people who love children, who are gifted, who are ready to welcome kids and help them grow in love and faith and strength. So this is all part of Fertile Ground Zero. And now we need to invest. We need to invest in it. Otherwise, we're going to have to pull back. Well, God can still move, but we're in a place where we have to put more the resources that we need to keep this place going and to invest in what God wants to do if we want to plant seeds in that fertile ground. So as we go into our offering, I want to invite you to think about that, not only right now as you do your offering, but also over the remainder of this year. What is God calling you to do? What is God financially for the church? Some people I know are not in a position to give any more than you're giving. It's just, if you don't have it, you can't give it. But other people, you might be. And your giving makes a difference. It will make the difference. If we can get closer to closing that gap and then move into next year with some more clarity, like if there's folks who want to work on a fundraising event. We did one last year and raised $10,000. It was fantastic. It was super fun. Havana night, right? That was so great. So we can do something like that again. Again, we have to have people who want to help with that. We can, so this is where looking at your treasure, your finances, your time, your heart. What do you want to see happen here? And how can you invest in making it happen? And we'll have time over the coming weeks to think about this year and then to look toward next year. But right now, I encourage you to give what God puts on your heart with joy as we receive our offering and sing together, Give Thanks.